In Maine, we've had some extreme Republicans, including Governor LePage. Well, one of his top allies in the legislature is Representative Lawrence Lockman. He's an interesting guy. He's actually been around for a long time in politics, saying unbelievable things that I'm about to show you. But he didn't win until 2012, because politics has gotten so extreme that guys who used to be on the lunatic fringe are now in state houses across the country, and unfortunately all over the United States Congress, right? So Lockman's a good example of that. Blogger Mike Tipping and Maine People's Alliance website exposed this guy for what he is. Now, like I said, he's been around since the 1980s and 90s, and that's where some of these quotes come from. But you're going to get a sense of who this guy really is. First, they explain, Lockman falsely suggested that HIV and AIDS could be spread by bed sheets and mosquitoes. Okay, well, that's a bit of a problem, right? Lockman also said that the progressive movement helped spread the virus by claiming the practice of sodomy is legitimate alternative lifestyle rather than a perverted and depraved crime against humanity. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff that Lockman's talking about. Then he goes broadly and he says, liberals use poor people as human shields to advance the professional left's self-serving extremist agenda. Now, by comparison, that seems relatively mild, given that he just said that homosexuals commit depraved crime against humanity by simply existing. He says compromise is often an exercise in putting lipstick on a pig and only delays the inevitable day of reckoning. If we never compromise! I know. This guy is such a goofball that he thinks that you shouldn't pay your taxes to the IRS. In fact, for many years he didn't. And then guess what happened? He got busted and owed back taxes. Of course. Once he got dressed up like a vampire and protested in front of the IRS building, saying the IRS is like vampires sucking our blood. They show this picture of this clown. This idiot is now in the Maine legislature. Oh, yeah. All right. Back to sodomy. He says, clearly the practice of sodomy is learned behavior, and those addicted to this form of biologically insane sex are at high risk for all manner of serious medical problems. What a funny way to put it, right? Biologically insane sex. Sounds like it might be like in his mind a good thing, like, ooh, that sex is crazy, dog. Oh, it's insane. You know what I'm saying? Why are you so obsessed with it? Throughout the years, nonstop, right? He says, you could, and I like this prediction for how wrong it was. You could bet the rent money they will demand that employers set up goals and timetables to achieve 10% homosexual representation in the workforce and in government contracts. Now, he predicted this like I said, in the 1990s. Oh yeah, it's 2014. That never happened. So I guess you lost your rent money too. But these guys always fiscally conservative. We know what we're doing with money. Except for all that money I owe the IRS, plus I lost all the rent money on this dumb bet. Okay. He continues, of course, there's no end to this. The homosexual rights movement is engaged in a covert scheme to use federal crime control funds to transform Maine's public schools into gay activist indoctrination centers. Well, of course they are. Now, what I really like about the blogger who exposed the Mike Tipping is what he said at the very end here. He said, this look back also illustrates, saying like, you know what, we know this is a look back into all the crazy things he said in the past. He didn't say them yesterday, right? But he says, this look back also illustrates that the radicalism and anger that we now ascribe to the Tea Party has existed in corners of our political environment for decades. The current conservative movement has only magnified it and brought it closer to the levels of power. That's a great point by Mike Tipping. And he's right. Like these guys have been hiding in the shadows, literally dressed as vampires, for decades. But now they're in power. That's how extreme our government has become.